Sometimes the most painful feeling is not being insulted, it is being ignored. You give your time, but they give excuses. You give your attention, but they give silence. You give importance, but they give distance. And slowly, without realizing, you begin to question your own worth. You begin to wonder if you are not good enough, not interesting enough, not important enough. But the truth is, your value does not decrease just because someone fails to see it. Not everyone who ignores you is above you. Sometimes they simply do not recognize what Allah has placed inside you. My dear brothers and sisters, when you start overvaluing people, you slowly start undervaluing yourself. You start chasing attention instead of protecting your dignity. You start waiting for appreciation instead of appreciating your own worth. But peace begins the moment you realize something powerful. Not everyone deserves your energy. Not everyone deserves your effort. And not everyone deserves your importance. Today, we will learn 5 powerful lessons that will help you stop overvaluing people who ignore you and start valuing the respect Allah has already given you. Because the one who knows his worth never begs to be noticed. 1. Your value does not come from people. My dear brothers and sisters, one of the biggest traps of life is believing that your value depends on how people treat you. Many people slowly begin to measure their worth based on attention. When someone responds quickly, they feel important. When someone praises them, they feel confident. But when someone ignores them, suddenly they begin to question themselves. They begin to feel small, unimportant, and invisible. This is how the heart becomes dependent on people's reactions instead of relying on the truth that Allah has already placed value within every human being. Your worth was never created by people, and it will never be destroyed by people. People can ignore you, misunderstand you, underestimate you, or even walk away from you. But none of these things reduce the value Allah has given you. The one who created you is the one who honored you. Allah created you with purpose, with wisdom, and with potential. Allah gave you a heart capable of sincerity, a mind capable of growth, and a soul capable of rising above difficulties. When Allah created the human being, He gave him dignity. That dignity is not dependent on who praises you or who notices you. It exists because Allah decided that you are worthy of it. Sometimes we allow small situations to shake our confidence. A delayed reply makes us feel ignored. A lack of attention makes us feel unimportant. Someone forgetting about us makes us feel forgotten. But the reality is that people are limited. People become busy. People become distracted. People become consumed by their own problems. Their silence is not always a reflection of your value. Many times it is simply a reflection of their priorities, their mindset, or their circumstances. When you understand this, you stop blaming yourself for every distance you experience in relationships. When a person does not appreciate you, it does not mean you are not valuable. It only means that this person is unable to see what Allah has placed inside you. Not everyone has the ability to recognize sincerity, loyalty, patience, and kindness. Some people only recognize loud personalities. Some people only notice those who constantly seek attention. But the believer understands that real value is not always visible to everyone. Diamonds are not appreciated by everyone, but their value does not decrease because of that. Stop measuring your importance based on how often people include you, how quickly they respond to you, or how much attention they give you. People's opinions change according to their moods. Today, they may appreciate you. Tomorrow, they may ignore you. Today, they may prioritize you. Tomorrow, they may forget you. If your confidence is connected to people's behavior, then your peace will always remain unstable. But when your confidence is connected to Allah, then your heart becomes steady. The believer understands that Allah sees every effort, every intention, every silent struggle, and every sincere action. Even when people do not appreciate you, Allah appreciates you. Even when people ignore your efforts, Allah records them. Even when people fail to recognize your sincerity, Allah knows what is in your heart. And the recognition of Allah is greater than the recognition of the entire world. When you truly understand that your value comes from Allah, something powerful changes inside you. You stop chasing validation from people. You stop feeling desperate for attention. You stop trying to prove yourself to those who already decided not to understand you. Instead, you focus on improving yourself, strengthening your character, and pleasing Allah. And when a person reaches this level of self-respect, people begin to notice a difference. Confidence appears in the way they speak. Calmness appears in the way they respond, and dignity appears in the way they carry themselves. Always remember that the opinion of people can never define the reality of your worth. People see the outside, but Allah sees the inside. People judge based on moments, but Allah judges based on intentions. People may ignore you today and appreciate you tomorrow, but the value Allah placed inside you remains constant. Never forget that you were created with honor before anyone even knew your name, before anyone praised you or ignored you. Allah already decided that you have value. So do not reduce your worth just because someone failed to recognize it. The one who knows his value does not beg to be noticed, does not chase approval, and does not lose himself trying to impress people. Instead, he walks with quiet confidence, trusting that what Allah has placed within him is already enough. 2. Stop chasing those who keep distance. My dear brothers and sisters, one of the most emotionally exhausting habits a person can develop is constantly chasing people who clearly keep distance from them. It begins very quietly. You notice that the effort is becoming one-sided. You are always the one starting the conversation. You are always the one checking in. You are always the one trying to keep the connection alive. At first, you ignore the signs because you hope the situation will improve. You convince yourself that maybe they are just busy. Maybe they are going through something. Maybe they will appreciate your effort later. But as time passes, the distance continues and the effort remains one-sided. Chasing people who are comfortable without you slowly weakens your self-respect. Every time you try harder to gain their attention, your heart becomes more attached to their response. When they reply, you feel relief. When they ignore, you feel anxious. Your emotions begin to depend on their behavior, and this is where inner peace begins to fade. A believer should never live in a state where their emotional stability depends on the inconsistent attention of people. Understand something very important. Relationships should not feel like begging. Respect should not feel like something you must earn through constant effort. Care should not feel forced. Real connection has balance. When someone values your presence, they do not make you feel invisible. When someone respects you, they do not make you feel like an option they remember only when convenient. Effort becomes natural when the relationship is sincere. The Prophet ﷺ taught us dignity in the way we interact with others. Islam teaches us to be kind, patient, and respectful, but it also teaches us not to lose ourselves in the process of pleasing people. There is a difference between maintaining relationships and chasing acceptance. A person with self-respect gives effort, but does not beg for attention. A person with dignity shows care, but does not allow themselves to be treated as unimportant. Sometimes we continue chasing people because we fear losing them. We fear being forgotten. We fear being alone. But not every distance is a loss. Sometimes distance is guidance. Sometimes distance is protection. Sometimes Allah removes people from our daily life because He knows that attachment to them will only bring disappointment. Allah sees what we do not see. Allah knows what we do not know. There are moments when a door closes in your life not to harm you, but to redirect you towards something better for your heart and your future. When you keep chasing those who keep distance, you unintentionally ignore the people who genuinely appreciate you. You ignore the opportunities that could improve your life. You ignore the peace that comes from focusing on what truly matters. Your mind becomes occupied with someone who is not even thinking about you with the same level of importance. This imbalance creates emotional pressure that slowly drains your energy. Letting go does not always mean you stop caring. Sometimes it simply means you stop forcing. You stop running after those who are not running towards you. You stop trying to prove your importance to someone who has already shown you their priorities. You accept the reality of the situation with maturity and calmness. And when you do this, something beautiful happens. Your heart becomes lighter, your thoughts become clearer, your emotions become more stable. Not everyone is meant to stay in your life forever. Some people enter your life for a short period to teach you lessons about patience, boundaries, and self-respect. When their role is complete, their distance becomes part of Allah's wisdom. Accepting this reality helps you grow emotionally and spiritually. Always remember that the right people will never require you to chase them constantly. The right people will make effort to stay connected. The right people will make you feel valued without forcing you to prove yourself again and again. Healthy relationships bring calmness, not confusion. They bring comfort, not anxiety. They bring stability, not emotional exhaustion. Stop chasing those who clearly choose distance. Protect your dignity by allowing space where space is already being created. Trust that what is meant for you will not require you to lose your self-respect in order to keep it. When you stop chasing people who are comfortable losing you, you begin to rediscover your own importance. And when you rediscover your own importance, you begin to treat yourself with the respect you truly deserve. 3. Not everyone deserves your energy. My dear brothers and sisters, one of the greatest forms of wisdom a person can develop in life is understanding where to invest their emotional energy. Energy is not something small. Your emotional energy affects your thoughts, your decisions, your peace, and even your connection with Allah. Every day your heart has a limited capacity. Your mind has a limited focus. Your time has a limited number of hours. Yet many people give unlimited importance to people who give them very little respect in return. They constantly think about those who ignore them. They repeatedly check their phone hoping for a message. They analyze every small detail of a conversation. They question themselves again and again, wondering why they were not appreciated. Slowly, their mental space becomes occupied by someone who does not even consider their feelings with the same level of importance. This is how emotional energy becomes wasted. Not everyone deserves access to your heart. Not everyone deserves the same level of attention. Not everyone deserves the same level of sacrifice. Islam teaches balance in relationships. Islam teaches kindness, mercy, patience, and good character, but it also teaches wisdom. Wisdom means recognizing where your effort will bring goodness and where your effort will only bring exhaustion. Many people feel guilty when they start creating emotional boundaries. They feel as if they are doing something wrong by protecting their peace. But protecting your emotional well-being is not selfish. It is necessary. When you allow everyone to enter your emotional space freely, you make yourself vulnerable to unnecessary stress, disappointment, and anxiety. When every opinion affects you, every criticism hurts you, and every act of neglect disturbs you, your heart becomes overwhelmed. A strong believer learns to control where their attention goes. They do not allow every person to influence their emotions. They do not allow every situation to disturb their peace. They understand that some people will misunderstand them, some people will underestimate them, and some people will not appreciate them. But they do not allow these things to control their inner state. There is a difference between caring and over-investing. Caring is healthy. Caring strengthens relationships. Caring brings kindness into the world. But over-investing in people who do not reciprocate your sincerity leads to emotional exhaustion. It leads to constant disappointment. It leads to feeling unappreciated even when you are trying your best. Your emotional energy is a gift. It should be invested in people who value sincerity. It should be invested in relationships that encourage growth. It should be invested in actions that bring you closer to Allah. It should be invested in goals that improve your future. When your energy is directed towards beneficial things, your heart begins to feel stronger and more peaceful. Sometimes the reason we keep giving importance to people who ignore us is because we hope they will eventually change. We hope they will finally understand our value. We hope they will recognize our effort. But not every person will change according to our expectations. Some people remain distant no matter how sincere you are. Some people remain unappreciative no matter how much effort you give. Accepting this reality saves you from unnecessary emotional pain. When you stop giving your energy to those who ignore you, you create space in your life, space for better relationships, space for personal growth, space for peace, space for gratitude, space for strengthening your connection with Allah. Instead of feeling mentally drained, you begin to feel emotionally balanced. Think about how much peace enters your heart when you stop worrying about those who do not prioritize you. Think about how much clarity you gain when your mind is no longer distracted by one-sided relationships. Think about how much confidence you develop when your happiness is no longer dependent on someone else's attention. A wise person learns that attention is valuable, time is valuable, and emotional energy is valuable. They do not distribute these gifts carelessly. They give attention where there is mutual respect. They give time where there is appreciation. They give emotional energy where there is sincerity. This does not mean becoming cold or distant from everyone. It means becoming selective. It means recognizing who truly deserves closeness and who only brings confusion. It means understanding that some relationships bring peace while others bring pressure. Sometimes distance from certain people is necessary to protect your mental clarity. Sometimes reducing communication helps you regain emotional strength. Sometimes silence allows your heart to heal from the exhaustion of trying too hard. The believer understands that their peace is connected to their priorities. When Allah becomes the center of your life, unnecessary attachments begin to lose importance. You stop feeling desperate for people's approval. You stop feeling anxious about being accepted. You begin to focus on what truly benefits your life and your hereafter. Always remember that your energy shapes your life. Where your attention goes, your emotional state follows. If your attention constantly goes towards those who ignore you, your heart will continue to feel unappreciated. But if your attention goes towards growth, gratitude, self-respect, and faith, your heart will begin to feel content. Not everyone deserves your energy, and not every relationship deserves unlimited effort. Give kindness to everyone, but give importance wisely. Protect your peace carefully. Invest your emotional energy in what truly brings goodness into your life. Because when you learn where to invest your energy, you protect your dignity, strengthen your heart, and create a life that is not controlled by the opinions or actions of people, but guided by wisdom and trust in Allah. 4. Self-respect teaches people how to treat you. My dear brothers and sisters, one of the most powerful realities of life is this. People learn how to treat you by observing how you treat yourself. The standards you accept become the standards others follow. The boundaries you ignore become the boundaries others cross. The respect you show yourself becomes the respect others are willing to give you. This is why self-respect is not only important for your own peace, but also for the way the world interacts with you. When a person constantly accepts being ignored, people slowly begin to believe that ignoring them is acceptable. When a person constantly tolerates disrespect, people begin to think that disrespect will not have consequences. When a person always makes themselves available, always adjusts, always sacrifices their comfort just to please others, people begin to take their presence for granted. Not always because people are intentionally trying to hurt you, but because human beings naturally adapt to the standards they see. If someone notices that you always reply instantly no matter how you are treated, they stop valuing your time. If someone notices that you always forgive without any change in behavior, they stop valuing your feelings. If someone notices that you always remain available even when they show little effort, they stop appreciating your presence. Over time, your kindness is no longer seen as generosity, but as something expected. Your effort is no longer seen as something special, but as something normal. This is how self-respect quietly begins to disappear. Self-respect does not mean arrogance. It does not mean becoming harsh or unkind. It does not mean isolating yourself from people. Self-respect means understanding your worth and refusing to allow others to reduce it. It means knowing that your time has value, your emotions have value, and your presence has value. It means understanding that you deserve to be treated with consideration, honesty, and appreciation. When you respect yourself, your behavior changes in a natural way. You stop over-explaining yourself to people who are not truly listening. You stop trying to convince those who have already decided not to understand you. You stop forcing conversations with people who clearly show little interest in maintaining the connection. You stop chasing acceptance from those who only give attention when it is convenient for them. A person with self-respect does not feel the need to prove their value constantly. They do not feel the need to impress everyone. They do not feel the need to be liked by every person. They understand that not everyone will appreciate them, and they are at peace with this reality. Their confidence does not come from approval, but from clarity about who they are and what they deserve. When you begin to respect yourself, you also begin to set healthy boundaries. Boundaries are not walls that isolate you from people. Boundaries are guidelines that protect your dignity. Boundaries help others understand what behavior is acceptable and what behavior is not. Without boundaries, people often assume they can behave however they want without consequences. But when you calmly and respectfully maintain your boundaries, people begin to understand that your presence is valuable and should not be taken lightly. For example, when you stop responding immediately to every message from someone who rarely responds to you, you begin to create balance. When you stop always adjusting your schedule for those who never adjust for you, you begin to create fairness. When you stop giving unlimited attention to those who give minimal effort, you begin to create awareness. These small changes communicate something powerful without even using many words. They communicate that you respect your own time and emotional energy. Self-respect also protects your heart from emotional exhaustion. When you constantly try to please everyone, your mind becomes tired. You begin to worry about everyone's expectations. You begin to fear disappointing people. You begin to carry the burden of trying to maintain relationships that are not equally maintained by others. But when you respect yourself, you release this unnecessary pressure. You accept that you cannot please everyone, and you understand that pleasing everyone is not required for living a meaningful life. The believer understands that dignity is part of faith. Islam teaches us to maintain good character, to show kindness, to forgive, and to remain humble. But Islam also teaches us not to humiliate ourselves in order to gain people's approval. The Prophet ﷺ showed kindness to everyone, but he never allowed anyone to take advantage of his dignity. His character was gentle, but his self-respect was firm. This balance is important for every believer to learn. When you consistently show respect to yourself, people begin to notice a change in your presence. Your words carry more weight. Your silence carries more meaning. Your decisions carry more strength. People begin to think carefully before treating you carelessly. They begin to understand that your presence is not something ordinary. They begin to recognize that your time is valuable. Sometimes when you start respecting yourself, certain people may become uncomfortable. They may question why you are no longer always available. They may wonder why you no longer tolerate behavior that once seemed normal. They may feel confused by your calm distance. But this reaction often reveals who was benefiting from your lack of boundaries. When self-respect increases, unhealthy expectations decrease. It is important to remember that when some people leave your life because you started respecting yourself, it is not always a loss. Sometimes it is a necessary change. Some connections only survive when one person continues sacrificing their peace, but healthy relationships grow stronger when both sides respect each other equally. When self-respect increases, the quality of relationships improves. The people who remain in your life are those who truly appreciate your presence. Self-respect also influences how you see yourself. When you constantly accept less than you deserve, you begin to believe that you deserve less. But when you protect your dignity, you remind yourself that your feelings matter. You remind yourself that your presence has value. You remind yourself that your time should not be wasted in places where it is not appreciated. A person who respects themselves does not become distant from everyone. Instead, they become more sincere in the right places. They give genuine effort where there is mutual care. They show loyalty where there is mutual respect. They invest time where there is appreciation. This creates relationships that are stable, calm, and meaningful. Always remember this powerful rule. The way you treat yourself teaches people how to treat you. If you constantly ignore your own needs, people will also ignore them. If you constantly silence your own voice, people will stop listening. But when you calmly and confidently respect yourself, people begin to respond with respect. Self-respect is not loud. It is not aggressive. It is quiet strength. It is the ability to walk away from what disturbs your peace. It is the ability to remain calm when someone expects you to beg for attention. It is the ability to accept that not every person will stay in your life, and not every relationship is meant to continue forever. When you develop self-respect, you stop overvaluing those who ignore you. You stop lowering your standards to keep temporary connections. You stop sacrificing your inner peace to maintain one-sided relationships. Instead, you begin to live with clarity, dignity, and emotional balance. And when a person lives with dignity, they attract respect naturally. They do not demand it, but they receive it. They do not chase it, but it comes. Because people recognize the calm confidence of someone who understands their own worth. Respect yourself enough to protect your peace. Respect yourself enough to maintain healthy boundaries. Respect yourself enough to walk away from what repeatedly hurts your heart. Because when you respect yourself, you teach the world that your presence is valuable, your time is important, and your dignity is not negotiable. 5. Allah is enough for the heart that trusts Him. My dear brothers and sisters, at the root of overvaluing people is often a deep fear within the heart. A fear of being alone, a fear of being forgotten, a fear that if certain people leave, something important will be missing from our lives. This fear makes a person hold on tightly to relationships, even when those relationships begin to hurt their dignity. It makes a person tolerate, neglect, accept disrespect, and chase attention simply because they are afraid of losing connection. But the believer understands a very powerful truth. When the heart is connected to Allah, it is never empty, never abandoned, and never truly alone. We often overvalue people when we expect from them what only Allah can provide. We expect people to give us complete peace, complete understanding, complete loyalty, and complete emotional fulfillment. But human beings are limited. People change, people become busy, people become distracted, and sometimes people leave. If our emotional stability depends entirely on people, then our peace will always remain fragile. It will rise and fall depending on who stays and who goes. But when the heart learns to rely on Allah, a deep stability begins to form inside the believer. Allah is Al-Wakil, the best disposer of affairs. Allah is the one who manages what we cannot control. Allah is the one who sees every silent tear, every hidden struggle, and every unspoken disappointment. Sometimes we hold on to people because we believe they are necessary for our happiness. But Allah reminds us that He is the source of peace. People may support you, but only Allah can heal the heart completely. People may comfort you, but only Allah can remove the heaviness from the soul. There are moments in life when certain people begin to drift away. Conversations become shorter. Effort becomes less. Attention becomes rare. In these moments, the heart feels uneasy. The mind begins to question, why is this happening? What did I do wrong? Why am I no longer important to them? But the believer learns not to immediately assume loss. Sometimes what feels like loss is actually protection. Sometimes Allah removes certain people from your daily life because He knows that attachment to them would slowly damage your peace. Allah sees what you cannot see. Allah knows what you do not know. There may be conversations you never heard, intentions you never discovered, or changes that could have harmed you emotionally. Allah, in His wisdom, gently creates distance so that your heart does not become too dependent on what is temporary. Sometimes Allah breaks attachments to strengthen your connection with Him. Because when the heart depends too heavily on people, it becomes weak. But when the heart depends on Allah, it becomes strong. Trust in Allah does not mean you stop caring about people. Islam encourages love, mercy, and maintaining relationships. But trust in Allah means you understand that people are not the foundation of your peace. They are part of your life, but they are not the source of your stability. The source of stability is Allah. When this understanding enters the heart, fear begins to decrease. Anxiety begins to decrease. The constant need for attention begins to decrease. A heart that trusts Allah understands that what is meant for you will never miss you, and what misses you was never meant for you. When someone leaves your life, it does not always mean you lost something valuable. Sometimes it means Allah removed something that was not meant to remain in your story. The believer understands that every change carries wisdom, even when the wisdom is not immediately visible. We often think that certain people are necessary for our happiness, but sometimes when those people leave, we discover a strength we never knew we had. We discover independence. We discover emotional balance. We discover that we are capable of standing firmly even without constant attention from others. And most importantly, we discover that Allah was always there even when we felt alone. Allah is Al-Latif, the most gentle. His plans are subtle. His wisdom is precise. He knows exactly when to give and when to take, when to connect and when to separate. Sometimes Allah distances certain people so that your focus can return to what truly benefits your life, so that your heart can detach from unhealthy dependence, so that your emotional strength can grow. When your trust in Allah becomes strong, you stop feeling desperate for people's attention. You stop feeling anxious about being accepted by everyone. You stop feeling afraid of being alone, because you realize that you are never truly alone. The one who created you is always near. The one who understands your heart better than anyone else is always aware of your condition. A believer finds comfort in knowing that Allah never ignores sincere effort. Allah never overlooks patience. Allah never forgets those who remain firm in dignity even when tested with emotional difficulty. Every moment of patience, every moment of silent strength, every moment of choosing self-respect over desperation is seen by Allah. When you truly rely on Allah, your heart begins to feel full even in moments of silence. You no longer feel the need to constantly seek validation from people. You no longer feel the urge to chase those who show little interest in maintaining connection. Instead, you begin to invest your time in what strengthens your faith, improves your character, and benefits your future. Trusting Allah also teaches you to accept change with maturity. People enter your life for different reasons and different durations. Some stay for many years, some stay for a short period, and some leave quietly without explanation. But every person's presence or absence contributes to your growth. Some people teach you how to love. Some people teach you how to be patient. Some people teach you how to set boundaries, and some people teach you how to rely more deeply on Allah. When Allah becomes enough for your heart, something beautiful happens. You begin to feel calm even when others are distant. You begin to feel confident even when others underestimate you. You begin to feel content even when certain relationships change, because your peace is no longer dependent on temporary things. Your peace is connected to the one who never changes. This level of trust creates emotional freedom. You no longer feel controlled by the opinions of people. You no longer feel shaken by every act of neglect. You no longer feel the need to force relationships that do not bring goodness into your life. Instead, you move forward with quiet confidence, believing that whatever Allah has written for you is already perfect for your journey. Always remember that when Allah removes something from your life, He creates space for something better. When Allah distances someone from you, He may be protecting you from hidden harm. When Allah delays something you want, He may be preparing something greater than what you expected. The believer's heart finds peace in knowing that Allah is sufficient. People may misunderstand you, but Allah understands you. People may ignore you, but Allah sees you. People may leave, but Allah remains. And the one who remains is greater than everything that leaves. When your trust in Allah becomes firm, you stop overvaluing people who ignore you, because you understand that your value was never dependent on them. Your value was always connected to your Creator. Your peace was always connected to your faith. Your strength was always connected to your trust in Allah. So let your heart rely on Allah. Let your confidence come from Allah. Let your sense of worth come from Allah. Because the heart that trusts Allah is never empty, never weak, and never broken by the behavior of people. When Allah is enough for you, you no longer chase those who choose distance. You no longer beg for attention from those who fail to appreciate you. You no longer feel small when someone ignores you, because you know that the one who truly matters never ignores you. And when a believer reaches this level of trust, they gain something more valuable than people's attention. They gain peace that cannot be taken away by anyone. My dear brothers and sisters, never forget this powerful truth. Your value does not decrease when someone fails to recognize it. You are not less important because someone ignores you. You are not less worthy because someone does not give you attention. And you are not meant to beg for appreciation from those who cannot see your sincerity. Stop overvaluing people who make you feel invisible. Stop chasing those who only remember you when it is convenient. Stop giving importance to those who give you distance. Because every time you lower your dignity to gain attention, you slowly lose the respect you deserve. Remember, not everyone is meant to stay in your life forever. Some people are only meant to teach you the importance of self-respect. Some people are only meant to remind you that your peace should never depend on their presence. And some people leave so that you can finally focus on the relationship that truly matters, your relationship with Allah. When your heart learns to rely on Allah, you no longer feel desperate for people's attention. When your heart is filled with trust in Allah, you no longer feel broken by people's distance. Because the one who truly matters never ignores you. Allah sees your patience. Allah knows your sincerity. Allah understands your silent struggles. And Allah never forgets the heart that remains firm with dignity. Respect yourself enough to walk away from what constantly hurts you. Value yourself enough to stop chasing those who keep distance. Trust Allah enough to believe that what is meant for you will never miss you, because the right people will recognize your value without forcing you to prove it again and again. And the right connections will never make you feel small. Always remember, when you stop overvaluing people who ignore you, you begin to value the peace Allah placed inside you. And when you protect your dignity, Allah replaces what you lost with something better. May Allah fill your heart with strength, protect your self-respect, and guide you towards people who truly appreciate your presence. Ameen.